Welcome to NCTV. This is a Meet the Candidate program this evening. I'm Nancy Connors, your hostess for the evening. And we have with us the two candidates, Fallon and Mark Flaherty. Both are vying for a position as constable in the town of Norfolk. We have two constables in the town. We have one already elected. The term is for 3 years, and each of these gentlemen are hoping to have so. This is, by the way, the only contested election in the town of Norfolk, which is very unusual, a little sad perhaps, but we have some good people that are maybe staying on board and maybe some more good people that aren't ready to come forward. But this is a competition between these two gentlemen for this position, so we'd like to hear from both of them. First of all, I'd like to know why you're interested in this position.
Oh, for me, the position of constable is a unique position in town, and something I was interested in a few years ago, but decided not to run. And it's another way for me to serve this community here in Norfolk, as well as give back to the community in more ways than I've been doing in the past.
And Dan?
Well, I get into the race because of the fact I got 35 years experience, and I'm a constable right now in the town of Foxborough, and I feel that living in the community, this was the right decision to make to run for this office.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in town, what other committees you may or may not have served on?
Sure. I've lived in Norfolk for many years. I went to kindergarten at the Freedman Centennial School, and I've been the commander of the American Legion Post here in Norfolk. I'm currently the senior vice commander. I'm currently serving on the school committee here in Norfolk because I feel that the children in the town are our future, and they're the most important people we can deal with right now, because one day they're going to be sitting where Dan and myself are, telling the people out there why we need to vote for them. So that's why I served on that committee. I spent 4 years in the Air Force. I did a 1-year tour with the Army National Guard here in Massachusetts. And, you know, I've got great military discipline, great work ethic. And I plan to put that forward in everything that I do working in this town.
Well, as I said before, I'm a former deputy sheriff, and I did 24 years as a deputy sheriff. I'm also, as I said, present constable in the town of Foxborough. And I felt that with my experience and background, that I would be...
Dan, how long have you resided in town? That was one of my questions.
8 years.
You've been in town 8 years, long enough to know a little bit about us.
Yes,
Not quite as much as I have. I've been here since '62.
Oh, well.
This is a 3-year term. So what a constable does, I think our people would like to know a little bit about what a constable does, as much as perhaps deciding which of you they want to vote for. But to the limited knowledge that I have about a constable, you are subject to the sanctions, and you are subject to sanctions if you render an improper service in this town. It's a lawsuit potential for you, isn't it? That's pretty serious. But you can serve, what, eviction notices, summons, sieges, your post-town warrant. I didn't realize this. I just learned that myself, that there were several places to post the warrant. And I've been in town quite a while, so I'm still learning too. These are some of the things. It is a capacious position. Like every civil matter is yours, but nothing that is criminal.
Yes, no.
You
can serve criminal, and you can also assist the Norfolk Police Department.
Really?
Absolutely.
In the state of Massachusetts, constables are actually considered a form of law enforcement. They're an elected law enforcement official. They do have some police powers, including arrest authority in certain circumstances. And like he was saying, the police can actually use you to assist. You can do arrest warrants. There was a case out in Rockland, I believe it was, where 2 constables actually instituted an arrest on a deadbeat dad for past due child support.
That's great.
They did it in
I know
kind
that
of
was
an
one of my
unorthodox
things that-
manner, if Dan's familiar with that story. And they actually got in trouble for the way that they went about it. But if you do it correctly, you do have that authority.
You have to be careful. Evidently, I've learned about the sanctions about.
Right. Well, actually, what he's saying is true to a degree, but actually, the police really don't get involved. That's a probate. That was a probate warrant. What that is, that means if you would call for backup, you would call a sergeant, because every sergeant that's made a sergeant in any town, or police department, or civil service, has to know constable business. So if I was, as a deputy sheriff, I was in the town in over Middlesex County, if I need assistance, I would go to the police department. But police department really don't like you to bring the prisoner to their station if you know.
Especially if you have as limited one as we have.
Right, exactly.
For
And they
keeping
prefer
one.
that you would bring them straight to court or try to do the rest at another certain time. Now, getting back to that, you have 3 different type of warrants. Do you know what they are that you can do?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. One is a regular warrant. It's called a capias. Is
Capias.
up to $7,500. The second warrant is called a sunset capias. Now that are almost as like a probate capias, and what that is, that means that the judge has said enough is enough. We can't get this person in the court. Can't seem to arrest him during Friday to Monday. So instead, you decided you only can arrest this fellow on a Saturday or Sunday. That's when the police will intervene on that one. They will help you on that one too. And usually,
When there's 2 of you as constables, who decides which will get the call? And if you get a call to serve or to do or evict, who do you get it from?
Usually from the town. Oh no, usually people in the town will ask you. People, if you have sued somebody, they'll come to you and say, "Oh, Dan Fallon's a constable. Why don't you go see him?" And he'll take care of it. It's either probate or it's a capias on a silver matter, meaning money up to $7,500.
That's what capias means.
Yes, but capias also can get into the execution part too. Execution part means that it's for possession of property or possession of a car. Now, back in 2011, the new law changed. It was up to $5,000. You could only bother someone at $5,000, but now they changed it. It's up to $7,500. And with that $7,500, what happens with that is that you can absolutely, the people can keep their car. So say hypothetically someone owes you $10,000 and you say to me, "Hey, go out and I want you to get my money. I want you to repossess their car." You can't do it because they are allowed to keep that car as long as the value at
the limit on the
75.
value.
But if you're a senior citizen, a handicap, what becomes of that is it's up to $16,000. And at that point, you can keep all of it. It means you could never repossess the car or everything. And on the eviction, now evictions are very serious. A lot of constables do not want to get involved with evictions because there's a lot to it. First of you've got to hire a bonded moving company. They got to take the furniture and they got to put it in a storage for 90 days. And the people that have you move that stuff there have to pay the 90 days. Then after 90 days, if the people don't come and get the furniture or belongings, then it goes to auction.
Very involved.
It's a very involved situation. This job is very complex. There's a lot to it. There's what you call subpoenas. There's a different type of subpoenas. You got one, it's a civil subpoena. Hypothetically, you're going to a divorce and you want to ask your husband or whatever, you want to get more information. The lawyer does a subpoena. Some subpoenas are criminal. When someone serves you a subpoena and they ask everything on that subpoena what they want and you lie, that can be completely, it's almost like being in a court before a judge. A subpoena is very serious. You've got to act on that and you've got to go to court on that. When you get subpoenaed to court, you've got to show up.
I believe that you're bonded.
$5,000.
How does that come about?
Honestly, Dan would be better to answer that question
Does the
than I
town
would
do it, or
because
does the...
No. What happens under that is anybody that's made a constable in any town, like I am. Now, I pay $5,000.
You pay out of pocket?
No. You get a bond for $5,000.
Okay.
Every year you pay $100. And then every year you pay $100 and $100. Usually it's a 3-year term. So you end up paying $300 by the end of the 3-year term.
So
But
you're bonding yourself. The
you're
town
bonding
is not
yourself.
bonding
Now,
you.
getting back to what you're saying about the town, if a person is not trained, now this is the thing. There's only 4 ways to actually get in training to become a constable, to be safe and everything else. Because the town has what you call liability. If the town hires somebody just because they're a constable and they don't really have the right training, what happens is they have a liability. And it can be a big liability. Oh, absolutely. Now, there's 4 ways for someone to be a constable. 1, they can go, we'll say hypothetically in this area, go to Dean College and take a course. 2, become a deputy sheriff. 3, go along and work with someone that's a constable that will give you training, which takes years. And 4, what I always suggest is people go to the court. They get down to the Rentham District Court, they sit there on a Thursday, go there at 9 o'clock, and you hear all different type of cases, and you learn the formats and everything else, what goes on between capiases and probate. Now, probate is a complicated type of case. Probate, what happens there is you got to go and arrest somebody. You can arrest them about any time on probate, and you have to bring them to probate court, and they accept it any time from Monday to a Friday. On the regular capias, they prefer that you bring someone in only on Thursdays.
Now, Mark, there's a lot, obviously, to
There
this.
is, and I've already talked to the chief, because I think one way for me to get some more knowledge about this, if I'm lucky enough and honored enough to be elected, is I've already talked to the chief here in town about sponsoring me for the police academy. You know, that way I can get the part-time academy, because I still have to work. And that way I can get some knowledge base that way and get some more training on the official ways through that training, the same training that the law enforcement guys go through, including some, I think some of the sheriffs that are part-time will go through the part-time academy as well. Mm-hmm. And I've been told by other people who have done the constable position a while back you should go to the part-time, at least go to the part-time academy. They recommended the full-time, but I can't afford that. I'm going to have to pay the $1,100. The chief's just going to sign the form to sponsor me.
That's a lot of
And
money.
that is a lot of
That's
money.
a lot of money out of pocket, yes.
But
Now, if
saying
there's
that,
2 of you in town that are
should I
constables.
answer that?
Excuse me?
Can I have
Oh,
a-
certainly, go
yeah.
ahead.
But still, that really, the academy does not show you process of a constable. Academy only shows you how to handle a gun, how to do physical, how to handcuff.
But Dan, how did you learn it?
I went through the sheriff's department, and plus I went through.
When you say through the sheriff's
The
department,
sheriff's
what does that
department
mean?
was strictly for civil service, permanently. In other words, how to do to do all the service for the department.
Well, you say through the sheriff's department. Does that mean you went
Civil-
to courses? Does that mean they trained you? What does that mean?
Yes, they did. You had to go to classes and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's why I brought it up earlier. Yeah. But the best thing a lot of people should do is really go like the Dean College. Dean College is a fantastic thing, much better than the academy is good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to give you the fundamentals in the background to able to do services.
But
They're
is
not
this
going to
job
teach you.
lucrative enough to warrant this expense for you, both of you?
Well, there is actually no. You have to build your own business. This is basically your own business. This would only be a part-time.
You're an
situation.
independent, yes,
Yeah,
I
you're
understand.
independent.
Yeah.
And
But who decides if there's 2 constables in the town of Norfolk? Who decides who gets the call, or who gets the eviction notice? Who gets the...
It would be the town clerk.
The town clerk
The
would
town
decide
clerk,
which
yeah,
of you.
if he wants you to post the warrants, yeah. In most towns, that is done basically by the
So
chief
you
of police.
both have to be somewhat available.
Right.
Do you have a full-time job otherwise?
No, I'm retired.
You're retired.
I'm retired, yes.
Okay. Something else you'd like to add? I heard a voice.
No.
I heard a sigh.
No.
It's a little unfair, I realize, because this gentleman has had the experience and the
you know what?
background.
And someone
so
that
I
has
jump in at any time.
someone that has the experience, if I'm lucky enough to earn the people's vote, I would love to be able to tap a resource like Dan Fallon, and I've already reached out to the other constable in town, you know, who said that he would sit down with me.
Mr. Terrio?
That is Mr.
Mr.
Terrio,
Terrio, yeah.
who is currently right now the president of the Massachusetts Constables Association.
You see?
And I've reached out to him via email, and he said after the election, if I'm elected, he'll sit down with me and help me out with this too. You know, I never had experience on any committee when I got elected to school committee. And I've been working my butt off on the school committee because, you know, if the people put me in a position that I asked them to, then it's my duty to learn everything I can about that position and do my very best in that position.
Good attitude. Yep.
You know, and so, you know, I love the fact that this is a contested race. I wish that every race in town was a contested race because I hate uncontested races, you know. And so, you know, it gives people a choice, you know. It's a good thing.
So evidently it's very important that a constable knows how to legally deliver the papers, or there can be some serious sanctions,
Well,
correct?
yes, I mean,
But again, I don't know how, I'm trying to understand how you get the call to be the constable for this
You would
person,
mostly
the
get
victim.
calls from
The
attorneys in town, like an
Okay.
attorney in town.
All right.
He would hire, he'd say, could you do me eviction? Could you do a tax lien? And all that. That you mostly get
Okay, all right.
from the town clerk. It would be just the warrants and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's all
smaller.
it is. Yeah, it's not. It's basically for the town and to help out. Some people want legal things done, and I've done that and helped them out. You know.
There's directories online. I've looked, you know, there's several constable associations in Massachusetts that list their constables by town and will give a phone number and contact information. So people that need these services of a constable can go online and get that information and then choose who they contact.
Can you stay, you have to stay within your town? Or can you ask for a constable from Norfolk to service somebody in North Attleboro? An eviction notice or a
My understanding,
deadbeat dad?
Dan can correct me if I'm wrong on this, because there's a chance that I could be. If you're an elected or appointed constable in the town, which in Norfolk we elect our constables, then your authority is the town of Norfolk. You know,
Okay.
and the way it was explained to me is, now if there's a lawyer in Norfolk who wants someone served out of town, that you can do that. But if someone needs to be served in Norfolk, it has to be someone who's a constable in Norfolk.
But Norfolk does not pay these fees. The person that,
Hires you pay the fees.
Right.
if the attorney that you said attorney might call you,
Oh yes. Yes.
to, now the attorney would pay your
Yes,
fee.
I have many attorneys that I work for now. Yeah.
And you have set fees? or
Those fees are
does-
set by law.
Yeah. They're set
The
by
fees
law.
are set by
Set
law
yeah.
Yes.
for each particular
Right.
entity that you do.
Hypothetically, if you do a KBS, you would charge $60. If you do a summons, it's $35. If you did a physical arrest, then it would be $350. But getting back to correct what he was just saying, you can go to other towns, and I could show you afterwards. It's called a 4C. Many constables don't, because of me being with the sheriff's department and being so many years, a lot of constables really don't know a lot about the laws. And what happens here in this situation, a 4C, you would go, say hypothetically, you call me up and say, geez, someone lives in Franklin. Dan, you're not a constable there. You're there, you're Foxborough and you're Norfolk. I can go under a 4C. I can still do a physical arrest and I can still serve.
Well, I really
Under 4C.
appreciate the time you
Okay.
boys have spent. I wish you both the best of luck. Now, please remember to vote, everyone, on April 30th. It will also be the other election. So, Town of Norfolk doesn't have any other opposed candidates, but I think it's very important for you to vote. Your check mark beside one of these candidates shows that you approve of them or you feel they've done a good job. If you leave it vacant, it also sends a message. So I think it's important, even though there is only one contest, that you make that contest show on how you vote. I appreciate you listening. Thank you both for coming. I
Thank you.
appreciate your time.